All right. Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to walk through the basics of using Visual Studio Code to edit your first HTML project. We're starting here in the Finder in my Documents folder. I've created an individual folder called Projects where I'm going to store our HTML and CSS projects for Uplift Codecamp. Inside the Projects folder, let's create a new folder that will represent our very first project. I'm going to call this HTML-1. Now let's open up Visual Studio Code. You can access Visual Studio Code through your Launchpad, pinned to your Finder bar, or my favorite way with the Spotlight search. Hit Command Space and search for Code. This should give you the Visual Studio Code application. From within Visual Studio Code, the first thing we want to do is open up our project as a folder. Here in the top left corner, we can see the Open Folder command under Start. Click on Open Folder, and then navigate to your project's HTML1 folder. Once that's selected, you can click the Open button in the bottom right corner. Now we have our HTML1 project open. The next thing we want to do is create a new file inside of this folder. So here on the Explorer tab on the left-hand side of your screen, let's click on the plus file icon for new file, and we're immediately prompted to provide a file name. A great file name for your first HTML file will be index.html. So I've typed index.html and I've hit enter. Now, there's a lot of ways you can get started. If you know your basic HTML, you can start typing it out. But Visual Studio Code has some really great built-in shortcuts. In particular, these are going to be called Emmet abbreviations. To start with, type HTML in your text editor. You can immediately see that there is an autocomplete prompt showing up in your editor for a couple different options. You can click on the right arrow here and see more about what's going to show up. The HTML tag expander is very basic. This one is great. It's called HTML:5. And this has the basic setup for a basic HTML file. Let's go and use that one. So I'm going to click on the HTML:5 autocomplete, and I'm immediately presented with a very basic outline of an HTML file. Here I can give it a new title, My First HTML, and in the body I can add some basic content. So I can add an H1, which is a very large header, and say My First HTML. It's going to match the title. That's a pretty standard way to do it. I can add a paragraph that says, this is a very new HTML project. And hit Command S to save that file. Great, so now that we've created an index.html file, let's open it up in our Chrome browser. The easiest way to do that is to right-click on index.html inside of the Explorer, and we can scroll down here to Reveal in Finder. Now that it's revealed in Finder, we can double-click on it to open it up in our default browser. Oops, let me shrink that window so y'all can see. And so here we have it. Our very first HTML page. We can create this in under 2 minutes using VS Code. So in our next video, we're going to walk through a little bit more about how to edit HTML files and get more going on in there. But this was a quick introduction to creating that file, populating it with some basic content, and loading it in your browser. Thank you very much.